Hey guys, it's me Ben back with a quick review, this time for Homefront, the Revolution, and the platform I reviewed this was on Xbox, but it's also on PS4 and PC. Now if you remember, a few months ago we gave Homefront the Revolution, the beta, a fairly favourable first impression. We didn't have that many issues with it, and we quite enjoyed the co-op gameplay. Now the sad thing is with the final release of the game, that's in there, that mode's in there, but it's very bare bones. There's not much to it, even though there's like customization options. There's a lot of repetition of the same missions, and there's not a lot more in there that wasn't actually in the beta. So that's kind of a side distraction to the main meat of the game, which is the campaign. Now, I quite like the idea of Homefront. I'm a big fan of the Patrick Swayze movie Red Dawn. I find the whole idea of a kind of sort of quasi-science fiction-y setting in America, where in this case, not just communists, but specifically the North Koreans have invaded after seeding the US with their technology, crippling them economically, forcing them into debt, then calling in on the debt. The debt doesn't get paid, so they invade and subjugate the population of America. You play well, he's not a nameless main character, but he might as well be. He has no dialogue, and like all the characters in the game, he's so bare, so little fleshing out is done in the story that he could be Joe Bloggs on the streets fighting with, you know, John Smith and Jane Doe. It really doesn't matter. They're all such archetypes that they're completely interchangeable, and the narrative is incredibly weak and dull. The writing is weak, the characterization is weak, but that's not actually the biggest problem with Homefront. Like I said, I like the idea, I like the concept, and it's an open world shooter. And famously, Homefront the original was a THQ game. Obviously, THQ went bye-bye, and this is now a Deep Silver joint. You know, using the Crytek engine, they made this game open world. It's not actually a sequel to the original Homefront. It's a complete reboot of the franchise. You're watching me now in video, getting hung up on some boards there with the really rather terrible melee. And there's just there's such a lack of polish in this game. There's a lack of love. The actual environments are quite well done. The setting is quite well conveyed. The idea of these customizable weapons, because you can't use the North Koreans' weapons, you have to use these weapons and switch them out, switch different modes. It's a fun concept, but like I said, the biggest problem is the moment-to-moment gunplay is bad. The technical problems are it's just rife with them. Constant hang-ups after any load, frame rate dips, just glitches everywhere, disappearing enemies, disappearing allies. I once got off a motorcycle, flew up into the air, came down to the ground and died because of it. So it's so poorly explained. There's weapon wheels and myriads of different currencies and different sort of things to do on the map. It's another open world game where there's a vomiting of various side activities to do on the map. None of them are really worth doing. They're all the same. It's incredibly repetitive and just dull. And I mean, a little bit of humour in the writing. Maybe let's explore the sort of morality of the conflict of should we be killing the North Koreans in such a sort of violently oppressive manner, considering what they've done to us. Shouldn't we try to strive to be something better? None of that's really sort of talked about. You're just this guy with a gun, and you're pointed at targets and pointed at things and told to kill, and that's all you do. And I mean, they try and do something interesting with the red zones and the yellow zones on the map. The red zones being like free combat, yellow zones being full of civilians, and the concept of like winning over hearts and minds. But you win over most hearts and minds by murdering people and collecting random pointless things. There's ideas in here that I like. It's just poorly executed. And considering its development problems, why they just didn't take a little bit more time and flesh things out. All I can think of is, there was a quarterly earnings that had to be hit, and this game had to come out when it came out, and it's a real shame. And because of all these issues, Homefront, yeah, it's a below average experience. It's not one I'd recommend. So because of that, I give Homefront the Revolution 2 out of 5 stars.